Welcome to the Ref Room, hockey talk for referees, coaches, players, and fans.
Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
With your hosts, Smokin, Silz, and Brad Baumruck.
Live.
The Ref Room starts right now.
And now your host.
Oh yeah, welcome to the Ref Room, everybody. I am Smokin Silz, being joined by my man Brad Baumruck, aka the new referee-in-chief. Couldn't waste any moments, tying that together with Brad. Hard to believe that our show has upgraded. Now we have celebrity in the house. So if you're just joining us, welcome. We missed last week because we had to all go vote. It was our elections for our local IHOA board. So we ended up getting some new people on board, which is great. And happy to be back. Lots of hockey to talk about and lots of good stuff going on. So first of all, congratulations to you, Brad. Really excited for you. And I will be abusing you on a more regular basis now for that. So I'm sure we'll have some fun at your expense today. And you guys can throw your comments in and welcome the new referee-in-chief. So congrats, buddy. In addition to that, we have a special guest today, and I'm just going to bring him in here right now. And we would like to welcome Coach Bo Knows from York High School. It's Matt. Welcome, man. Welcome to the show, to the Ref Room. York's got a really good program. They've got some great players and a couple really great teams, and happy to have you here. And I thought we'd talk a little hockey with you and, let you air your frustrations with referees right here in front of us.
Yeah. Hey, Scotty. It's a blast to be here. Thanks for the lovely intro, man. You guys do an awesome job. Brad, congrats. Well-deserved. I wish I would have done this ahead of time. I would have brought a list of complaints from the local coaches around here right to the show. But we'll take care of that a different time. Congrats again, well deserved. Love all you do for hockey. So this is great. This is unreal. Good stuff.
Yeah. We're excited for him. I mean, this is on his bucket list, believe it or not. So for all you guys that voted for him, he's happy to be doing this, and I think we got a good choice there because he's into it and he's around the ranks and he knows the people and he's been running the ADP program for a while. So I think it was a really good choice. So congrats, buddy. Happy for you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Now we can get on with the abuse. On with the abuse for Baumruck.
Well, Scotty, before that, let's just thank Eric Kousel, who was our referee-in-chief through, one of the absolute hardest times officiating has ever had, hockey has ever had. And you know what? We had to take seminars and take them from in person and put them online and figure out how we're going to get people to rinks and, instructors, and hours upon hours that he went on every single seminar that we had and sat through them. Even though he wasn't participating the whole time, he just waited. And if somebody had a question that he could clarify on, he did a great job with it. So, my hat's off to him for taking care of that through that time, because I think that took a special person to get us through that.
Well, I want to jump in on that too, because Eric has been so involved with us, and he's been on the show. He watches the show on a regular basis. But more importantly, I mean, this guy was at the rinks, whether it was being referee in chief, whether he's doing supervising, evaluating. I mean, he just gave so much time to our game and to the referee community and the hockey community. I don't think we could have had a better guy. I mean, and I'm sure Eric will still be around doing a lot of stuff. I certainly hope he will, because he really donated to us a lot of his time and service. And for that, we're very, very grateful. I know I am. And I'm sure all the guys out there are too, because he was a pretty popular guy. And, anytime anything would go wrong and the coach is like, I want your name, Eric Kousel. That's my name, Eric Kousel. That's what we tell them all. So, yeah, Eric's got a great sense of humor. And Eric, he golfed with us at the golf outing this past year. He forgot to bring his golf clubs, which was awesome. This is the kind of guy we have as referee in chief. So Brad, you can't bring your golf clubs to the outing this year. You just got to show up.
You know what was amazing about that too? We made it 17 holes, and finally a ranger stopped us. It was like, that guy's got to have clubs, and I'm like, he hasn't had them the past 17 holes, so what's the difference? Like, okay.
Why start now?
You know what? He brought the Mark Gore Award, so that was a big thing. The Mark Gore outing's coming up next month.
Yep.
Registration's open on puckcancer.com. Just so everybody knows, that's how you register for it this year. Puck Cancer is helping us run this year. They have some advantages to being an organization that helps out many hockey families. So they have a little easier, streamlined way of collecting money. So they helped us out with it big time. So big shout out to them.
Yeah, and the event's going to be bigger this year. We've got not only just like lunch. Well, we didn't even have lunch before. We just had a shotgun start and stayed for some adult beverages afterwards. But we've got lunch and dinner, steak dinner. So it should be a good party that day for everybody. And we're going to a new venue, new location. Poplar Creek, I believe, is the golf course that we're going to, right? So it'll be fun. It's a great day. And, Matt, if you want to come out, you like to bitch at referees, here's your chance. You can get a foursome. You can let them have it for like 6 hours. You can go nonstop at those referees. Any of you coaches that want to get a hold of a referee, you can have their attention for 6 hours and they can't get rid of you. So it's all good.
Get a couple sodas in us. Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah. We'll all be friends by the end of the day. That's what'll happen. Trust me, because, that's how it works. But anyway, so
Eric actually came out to one of our pre-meetings. He got there, parent meetings. He got there early, was there to shake hands, well prepared, spoke for 40 minutes, got bombarded with a couple of questions, stayed after, shook hands a ton. So he was always great, just to build off of what you guys were already saying. It was always a pleasure having him around, and doing what he could you could tell he cared about the game and all the clubs. Not just one or two. So that was great. Looking forward to that referee golf outing. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, you should come join us.
go.
We'd love to have you guys out there. All the coaches. I mean, not just you. We'd love to have as many coaches as we can get out there. We love having great rapport with coaches. And, one of the things that we've talked about a lot on the show is the fact that, when you do work the higher levels, you do get to kind of know the coaches a little bit. And when I say you get to know them, like, you know who they are, they know who you are, they know kind of what your standard is and what to expect. And it's just makes for an easier day. Where it gets more challenging, I think, is for our younger, newer referees that are working sometimes with coaches that have less coaching experience and they don't know what to expect. And, that's where a lot of the tension comes in, I think. You agree with that, Brad? Is that kind of, you have an official stance on this? Now I have to be politically correct with everything because I got the referee in chief here.
Scott, the one thing too is the upper levels. A lot of those coaches, they stick around. They might not be like always at the same organization or whatnot, but they generally float around in that age bracket, and they've been there quite a bit. And that age bracket, there's say there's 180 referees that work it consistently, right? Well, if you only got 180 of us that are consistently working, now I'm saying 20 games a month. Now, we do have a lot of referees that work 5 games a month or 10 games a month, so that's still consistent. But if you see the same person, 4, 5, 6, 7 times during the year, you're going to start to go, oh, yeah, I remember this. So it makes it nicer. It also makes it nice because after you start to get to know each other a little bit too, then as referees, we kind of go, all right, well, this is something that he's going to ask about. I'll just remind him before the game. And then after you guys both get used to it, then neither of you ask about it anymore. So it's a nice working relationship. Yeah. And the coaches that like to talk, those are my favorites. So, and I know a lot of people don't like the ones that yell and, scream. I don't mind a coach that wants to banter back and forth as I skate by. As long as it's not going over the line, I'm good. But, when I'm reffing, though, 99% of the time, I immediately cross over to the other side in the 3 official system, and I'm never on the bench side.
Yeah.
So
nobody wants to be on the bench side if you don't have not because of the trivia. It's just safer for everybody involved if you can get away from the bench side because you don't have to go through the line changes. In case you guys are wondering why we want to get away from you guys, not the personalities. 100%. It's not the yelling and screaming. It's just it's easier to get up and down the ice. So that's the deal.
Oh yeah.
So Coach Bo, Coach Bo, huh? Yeah, we had him up as Matt on there. He's like, well, I'm Coach Bo, so it's like we made changes for him. We tried to accommodate our friends. But actually, I've had your team a couple times over the spring. I don't normally see you much during the winter season. I don't normally work out of your rink very often. So, but it's been great to see you. You got some really good teams. And I'm not even go there. We'll go there at some point because, we were having a conversation before that Matt kind of brought up. A couple people have chimed in, let's go Brad for referee in chief. And Eric Kausel's a complete legend, always made my job easier. Yeah, I agree. Eric did a lot for us. So, that's very true.
I agree.
So let's talk about your team because I'm not even going to go to I'm going to go with the program because like last year you guys had a phenomenal JV team. You had a phenomenal varsity team. You guys are right there. Yeah. Are you getting a lot of your guys back? Did you a lot of guys graduate, or are you guys going to be in the thick of it again this year?
Yeah, it's being in the SHL. We had a really good team last year, but everybody always has a really good team every year. Been developing a lot of these guys for the last 4 years since they've been freshmen. So this team's going to be pretty gritty, going to have, all 4 lines going to be coming at you and just kind of building that work ethic right now. We did graduate 13 seniors, it's been a pleasure. Some of them going on to play college. Obviously, no matter what level you're at, you're developing for the next level, whether it's, life after high school or college after high school. So excited to see a lot of those players move on, but not a rebuilding year because we've been developing since JV. We had a really good JV team. So it's been a good spring so far and a lot to build off of for sure. Program's come a long way. Guy by the name of Bruce Turpin, who's been around for a long time. He actually coached me growing up. He got York hockey into the SHL, and nice. I think we won maybe 3 or 4 games that first year. But with better talent day in and day out, kind of recruits the top tier kids, and and it makes us better for sure. So it's always a dogfight for those top 5 spots. I think this year, 5th place and 1st place were separated by 3 points.
Yeah.
So those referee calls when you guys blow a penalty for us and not for the other team, those make a big deal.
Of course, it only goes one way. You know that. That's what the other coach said too.
Oh yeah, it's never going Green's way for sure. Never going York's way. But when we get our referee updates in the locker room, I expect some better calls. I heard one of the coaches in the SHL had Gatorade and chips and sandwiches for you guys before the game.
Which I wasn't there for that game. Which team was that? Just so I know, so I can maybe request their game someday.
That was over at Ridgeland and OPRF.
Oh okay, I actually I do know that I did have a few of the games where they did put some snacks in for us, and it was nice because I actually worked the rivalry game. I worked the Oak Park Fenwick game at Franklin Park because they moved it out of the venue, and they still sent snacks over there, which was very nice. So that's very cool.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do to win games. I see you got a Diet Coke there. I'll make sure it's stocked with some ice cold Diet Coke.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
love my Diet Coke. Everybody knows that. So,
I can tell you this: that locker room got onto social media a lot of times. A lot of people took photos of it and said thank you. So. Yeah, it was definitely well appreciated. Not to put anybody down, but
it really is. I mean, honestly, it really is. Now, I don't know if I would do that at Addison because we probably would pick up some sort of disease out of that locker room and the food and the drink that you leave behind. But Brad's rolling his eyeballs. Look, what did they say? Don't be dissing Addison.
My guy Teddy Barnes, love it, man. Thanks. Got to represent. Addison Square Gardens, as we call it,
Yeah, that's right. Hey, we like
Scott,
to pick on them a little bit.
The scoreboards.
What's that?
They did update the scoreboards, so
Well, I actually listen. I went to Addison twice this past year. I have not been there in years, so I literally did actually go there and do a couple games. It had been a long time since I had been there, so it's a little more convenient for me now where I'm located. So I might pop a couple of those Addison requests in there this year. So
we've had the Zamboni breakdown on the ice a few times. That's always been a blast. We updated our boards probably like 8 years ago, I think, before they were indoor soccer boards. So it's slowly but surely going the long haul. Yeah. And the rink manager Larry is a legend, man. He's a great guy. Does everything he can.
Is he watching the show today?
Shout out to Larry.
We can give him some suggestions.
Some suggestions. Maybe a discounted ice for the summertime. But yeah.
Well, their ice is expensive. I've heard from coaches. Am I right?
I feel like just Illinois hockey right now is it's huge. We went up to Minnesota to Wayzata and Edina for a tournament. Oh yeah. I think it was like $295 or $300 an hour for primetime ice. Obviously, it's all Park District stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is awesome. And then my parents got a place in Monaco, Wisconsin, about 5 hours up north from Chicagoland, and talking with their rink manager, and he was like, doors are open all summer. Come in, come out if you want to. We'll charge you $100 an hour, and that's kind of their going rate, which is unreal, man. Right? So it's like no matter where you go, it totally depends on supply and demand, I guess. And like everything, Illinois is pretty expensive.
I worked at, they had a little tournament during the lockdown in Michigan, I think up in St. Joe or whatever. I did a couple games up there, and it was a very nice facility, and it's only like a couple hours from Chicago. And I think their rates were probably like $300. I mean, it wasn't brutal. I could be off a little bit, give or take $50, but and it was a beautiful facility. So, there are places that you can get to. I know ice has gotten really expensive. What do you think it averages? About $600 an hour? Is that about right?
Yeah, it's around $595.
Across Illinois.
Across Chicagoland area.
To there.
Yeah.
It's I would say you're probably paying most rinks like $400 to $600, and then some of the rinks, they have where you have to pay for the ice cut too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
the second ice cut.
Kind of interesting.
So just think about this. Every icing that the referee puts his hand up for, and you do a line change, it costs you about $15. Okay.
No wonder there's so many.
It's good. Here, I'm taking $15 off your bill right now with a washout. Yeah, it's so true. It's
That's
expensive.
why, like when I walk into a rink and I see like teams that I'm not even affiliated with, I have like nothing to do with them. I'll never see them over the season probably, and I see the coaches out there and they're like talking on the ice for like 5 minutes. And I'm just sitting there going, cha-ching, cha-ching in my head. And I'm like, $15 a minute. Like, I'm like, oh man. I'm like, but anyways, I hope that doesn't happen too much to a lot of clubs, but I'm like, whoa, like it's so expensive. Like, you could do any other sport. I'll never forget this. I'll tell this story real quick just because it's kind of relevant for the season. My kids play lacrosse as well. So the first year we went in, the guy that was running it goes, okay, it's $180 per kid, right? And I'm like, oh, $180 a month. And he turned to me and he goes, oh, you guys must be a hockey family. I'm like, yeah, we are. No. 180 for the whole season. I'm like, really? I'm like, I could give you cash, a check, credit card. What do you want right now? Like, so, but that's just irrelevant knowledge. But I just thought that was a funny story. So, but yeah, our sport is so expensive. That's why me and Scott sit here and we do preach for the referees, go out there and work hard because, it's, we figured it out. Wasn't it like $3,000?
Oh man, to put on a game, when everything is factored in, and that doesn't count the cost for the parents for, getting to the games, the equipment that they have to buy, the meals that they're doing. But I mean, we've talked about like AAA hockey with Gino Cavallini, and we've talked about some of the expenses and the costs, like travel involved and all that sort of thing. So, it is an expensive sport. I mean, even for men's league, it's not cheap. I mean, you used to be able to go out and figure maybe you get on an ice slot and with a group of guys for, $10 or $15 a person. It's probably more like 25 non-prime time in some of the rinks for just a little, hour plus get together with the boys if you want to have a rental. So it's not cheap, and that's not counting paying for the referees. That's not counting paying for the adult beverages that need to be served afterwards and all that good stuff. So, it's full night, full price.
Oh yeah. There's a rental at Carroll Stream. Talk about a barn. You guys been in Carroll Stream lately at that ice rink at all or no?
Well, I'll tell you what, so I'm a little older than you guys, but I remember when that rink opened because my teammate, his father owned that rink and built that rink along with Pat Stapleton from the Blackhawks. It was the Planners, and they had two. They had Downers Grove and Carroll Stream, I believe. And those both opened up in probably like 73, 74, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around that time frame. So,
and they both had chain link fence.
Yeah, well, so many of the rinks did. I know a lot of guys don't know that, but, like Ballard, which is Niles, and I think they call it Iceland or something like that, but that was we would play high school hockey at Glenview on Sunday nights, and then we would have our Wednesday every other week at Niles, and that was chain link fence. So that was pretty common. Yeah. You got your face put into chain link fence when you went in the corner. Guys don't remember that. So, and you only had that little mouth. You had the little mouth guard that was like this, that went, it was like a little lip protector, which didn't protect anything, but you had to have it, right? So
you know what, Scott? So I played my first year of Pee Wees, and there was still chain link in Carroll Stream at that time.
Really? Wow.
So I remember,
So that had to be the last rink that had chain link. I'm guessing, right?
Yep.
Now, do we have to explain?
The only ones that I remember as a kid.
For you youngsters, do we have to explain what chain link fence is?
It's the stuff that if you jump over it and slip, it hurts real bad.
Right. Or you catch your leg on it as you're jumping over it.
Yeah.
It's not pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not pretty.
Yeah. So anyway, now coaching for York, is your JV coach coming back this year? Because I think I saw your JV and I thought you had a different coach behind the bench for Spring League, or is that just a Spring League thing?
No, he's coming back. Brian Finnerty. Yeah. He's been with the program for, obviously you know him, Brad, sounds like it. He's been there for going on 6 years, and he's done a great job and worked collaboratively with him. We hired on some alumni this year, Nick Lee and Mike Teedy. Going back to what you were saying about getting those younger coaches out there, not knowing what to expect, especially coming from college hockey or coming from higher level hockey. It's like, all right, now you're on the other side of it, and now you're a role model for all the kids. And these refs are learning, especially the new ones, right? It's like, how are we going to work collaboratively to kind of to kind of get that going for sure. So JV team, I mean, it's been great the past 2 years. They won the SHL the last, well, not this year, 3 years prior to that. And it's kind of been on the uprise since Bruce Turpin kind of took us into the SHL is kind of how I see it. So he's coming back next year, and we're going to have probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, 13 spots on that JV roster for a lot of talent coming through. The level right now for our 8th graders and freshmen are pretty high, going off when the Hawks were really good. Now you look at maybe 5th and 6th graders where kind of, club teams are kind of not having as many teams as they did before. So, but yeah, JV program's been huge, and it's been a great talent pool to bring up to varsity for sure. It's been great.
Yeah, that's something that's very interesting. You bring up a really good point. When the Hawks were doing well and winning the Stanley Cups, we were seeing more young people coming into hockey. Then suddenly the Cubs won a World Series, and a lot of kids started playing baseball, and the Hawks aren't making the playoffs. And, we kind of went through a period of time many years ago when the Hawks weren't really good, and it kind of hurt hockey a little bit. And so, it's really important for the Hawks to do well, for hockey to thrive. I mean, hockey's strong and it's thriving right now, but if we want to see it continue and go crazy, we need the Hawks to actually do well as well. Do you agree with that? Or?
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, that's definitely a huge point. More eyes on television. I think that playoff hockey is on the rise right now, and I think it's getting more popular now more than ever. So hopefully that kind of continues on. If the Hawks keep on making some runs, that'd be great. Yep. We actually had, I don't know if you guys know Billy Gardner at all. He's an ex-Blackhawk, now Wolves commentary. Absolute legend, guy's incredible. We had his kid actually at York probably 4 or 5 years ago now. And he's been great to grow the game too in Elmhurst. He's had a pretty big impact, which has been great. But yeah, definitely, from firsthand experience to now, when the Hawks are good, more kids want to play, and it's great. They have a lot of great programs now too. I feel like we get to try hockey for free, and just kind of get more and more people involved.
Yeah, that's great. We actually, not our organization per se, but the referees, the other organization that's out there, which is AAU, I believe. They had like a try refereeing where you didn't have to sign up and pay all the money in and do all the testing and everything. You just went to a little classroom session, got some, brief tutoring, I guess you would say, and a little on ice experience of what to do, where you could come out and work the mite games. And it was like, try it and see if you like it before you go out and, spend $1,000 on equipment and, pay all the money in that you need to be a referee and take all the testing and all the modules and stuff. So, we do the same thing, for the referee side. If you ever have people that want to learn a little bit more about like what we do on our side of the fence.
Yeah, if referees are Brad, we just bring the.
Hey, Brad, your mic's not working there, buddy. Are you on mute? Because we can't hear you. Like, I don't know. Brad was having some internet issues, or is he just giving us lip service? There he goes. All right, Brad will come right back. So, just stay tuned here. The referee in chief can't leave us for that long. So, but anyway, yeah, he probably didn't like something. He's like, I got to get off this. I couldn't hear that. But yeah, so that was kind of a cool thing. Like, even if you had some of your players, have you ever sent any of your players or your team to learn like the basics of refereeing, like to the level 1 seminar? It's a good way for them.
We actually have a few that are level 1 certified, level 2, level 3, which is fantastic. It's been a great experience for them. And you could definitely tell they have a different level of respect for the referees than the rest of the team does. But I remember talking with Brad last year about how can we get all these kids certified? Like, come on the ice with us. Let's figure it out. Let's start to build a collaborative relationship, right? Because I don't really know a whole lot of clubs that are like, yes, we love every referee. It's great. And that's okay. You're not going to please everybody. So Brad brought a couple guys out. Fisher was one of them. He'll tell you who else was. Tony. Tony, you better be nice about York games, buddy. I don't know what's going on there.
So you're talking about when we came out, right?
Yeah, no, it was great. Brad came out with a couple of guys, and
it was me, Fish, Tatalo, and somebody else. Hey, Scott, just so you know, the whole issue here was that one of our friends, but Mr. Pagani obviously isn't watching the show if he's calling me during this. So just so you know.
So all right. So the trick is to put your phone in airplane mode, probably.
Yeah. So
or do not disturb mode.
We got to
so
update in the notes.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
But,
well, that's what happens.
I've never done it on this way, but yeah. So we came out there and we just ran the on ice part of the referee seminar just to have Coach Bo's kids go through it. And you know what? It's funny when you have a bunch of players that think it's real easy, and then you let them drop a puck. It gets real difficult, real fast, or even better, icing with one guy shooting a puck. And it happens at every referee seminar. So I'm not putting any of the kids down, but we were able to do it, and we went through the drills. We did the goal line movement, we did the icing, we did offsides, which offsides 2 people. That can be a challenge for a lot of people. So it just goes on and on. But you know what? They were really good sports. And then actually, even then, we actually discussed about how your feet are placed with on the ice, and when you have possession of the puck, and when you're onsides and offsides. And I think one of the coaches actually said, I didn't know that about something. So it was a good time. If any school or any club wanted to do that, Matt, what did you guys think of it? I mean, what was the feedback from your players? It's funny. Like, I've seen you a bunch of times, and all we said was, hey, it was real good. I don't think we actually talked about any feedback or anything like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was the offsides, watching them go, because they would go up like this, and they would go, it's all good, and then their hand would go back up again. The amount of decisions their brain had to make in such a short period of time, it's something you can't just do right away. You need practice, and I'm sure the IHOA clinics are very rigorous and intense, and you come out a seasoned veteran after one of those. But referees do need practice, and there's a referee shortage, so that makes sense. But it was great. I think the kids enjoyed it, and it was nice them getting to see face to face a couple of you guys and kind of getting that small group environment with you. But props to you. You had over 40 kids out there doing a referee clinic. So I definitely want to do it again this year. I know we talked about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys grow it and keep our kids, learning for sure.
Yeah. Well, you got, just out of curiosity, how many AA or AAA players do you have playing right now on your JV and your varsity team?
Yeah, so we have 3 AAA players right now at the varsity level. We had 2 AAA players make the jump last year, which has been great, right? And then at the JV level, we probably have about 8 to 10 Central States players, so AA players that are coming over, and it's nice to see that a lot of kids are making the jump over to high school hockey, just because you see your friends every day. You have huge crowds. It's always a blast going to watch St. Viator playing against them. They have a really great student section. Gets everybody hyped up. York's starting to amp their fans up for sure. But high school hockey is really good right now, and it's taking kids to juniors, to club hockey. The guy that is my assistant coach, he played for the Steel for a little bit, and then played NCAA Division III right out of York High School, which is great, right? That's an uncommon thing.
Oh, wait, your assistant coach on the varsity, is that the guy with the glasses and the?
He's actually a different assistant coach. That's Scott Metz, who played. Okay. I forgot when he graduated, but he went on to play UIC after York. But that was, I
remember when UIC had their team. We used to play in that rink on Monday nights. We had a group that played over there. So it's a shame they lost that rink. I mean, that was a cool spot, but they wanted. Yeah, it was
always great getting dressed in those temporary locker rooms or whatever they call them. Yeah,
we never saw those. We just dressed in the lobby area. That was it. It was nobody else was there except us. So
separators, maybe that was just for the kids because you have parents there too. Kind of an issue. But yeah, I remember playing down there. So that was a long time ago too. I remember going to those games.
Yeah.
So
I never went to any of the games, but certainly, I wish we'd get a D1 team in the area. I mean, come on, all the great Illinois hockey we have here, and we don't have a D1 team in Illinois. I just don't get that. And I know it costs money,
U of I pulled out.
Yeah, Yeah, when U of I left, I mean,
All right.
you know,
Well, so enough about just. Did we freeze?
No. Matt's there. We're all here.
Hey, what's up?
Brad's freezing again, maybe. He get another phone call. Another one of his buddies try to take him off the air purposely. That's probably what happened. So he'll disconnect. If not, I'll just disconnect him now. There he goes. He's gone. We just get rid of him.
Probably.
and he's
probably
and he's back. Here he is. Oh, he didn't come back. That was interesting. He didn't come back. So who knows? I put him in and it didn't show up, but he'll be back in a minute, I'm sure. Let's take a look at a couple of these other comments too. So I know you weren't at the guy. I worked your game the other day at the tournament.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's calling. What's the deal here? Stand by. Hang on. Yeah, Brad. Yeah, let me see if I can patch it. Well, I don't know if I can patch you in now. I didn't know we were going to do this. So this may be a challenge to see if I can patch you in through the phone here. Sorry, bear with us. Patch it. Well, I don't know if I can patch you. Can you hear me now? Yeah, you can. Well, you're hearing me off the speakerphone. I don't know that I can do this. You got to dial in, bro. I mean, you got to come back in. Just come back in. All right. Anyway, he'll get back to us. You know, he lives way out. You know, their internet's not very good. He's on that AOL dial-up service, I think. So.
That's
you know,
funny.
We need to get him better, better internet now that he's referee in chief. He needs a little bump in his pay grade or something, you know, so he can get some better equipment, right? All right, let's see here. He's dialing back in. Let's see what happens.
I'll try moving in my house.
How's that AOL dial-up working for you, buddy?
3.0, baby.
Did you get Steve Rickards? Did you get his service direct from him?
Yeah, well, here, I'll just move. Let's see if it works better in the different part of the house.
Okay.
You know.
Normally he doesn't have any problems. I'm kind of surprised, but, you know, it happens. You got to reboot.
You got to
reboot those modems every now and then. That's the trick, Brad. You know, like every week before the show, reboot the modem.
I haven't done it in a while, so now we'll talk internet tips instead.
Yeah. Hey, you know, we're just a wealth of knowledge here. You know. Stay tuned.
Well, Scott, I wanted to ask Matt. All right, Matt, what is one thing? Doesn't even matter if it's me. I don't care. What is one thing that referees do that you are displeased with, that annoys you, that makes you upset, that we could probably fix? Because I know there's some consistencies across all referees, but is there anything that you have? Help us.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing.
That's the quick thing.
Yeah. No, Brad. I mean, you know me. I'm a pretty reasonable guy for the most parts, and I'm a pretty calm dude. My biggest thing is, you know, when they are across over there, and Scott, you know, I don't know, probably made a good call in his book, maybe a bad call on my bench, of course, if it affects my team, right? And I just want to, you know, talk to the referee face to face.
Here comes the bus. I feel it coming right over me now. Boom!
Yeah, throwing you right under there.
That's the only reason we got him on the show today, folks, is he could come here and just bam.
Well, you know, I'm trying to have a conversation. It's like, hey, Stripes, come on over. And they look at me and they're just like, nope, not doing it. It's like, come on, man. I'm giving you the respect. I'm hopping down here. I'm doing exactly what we're being told to do. Have some respect. Talk to them. And, you know, not coming over there. It's kind of one of my biggest pet peeve from a mutual respect standpoint. Yep. And then, you know, I saw kind of this weekend too. It's like, all right, I could call them both, but I'm not going to, you know, but the game's kind of getting out of hand a little bit. So why not just call them both, right? You know, you got two guys punching each other in front of the net. You know, got some younger guys out there. Ref lets them go, which is great, right? Playoff hockey. But then it starts to get crazier and crazier and crazier, and things escalate, and, you know, kids find their ways into match penalties and those kinds of things. So
let us answer that one question, because this, you know, I don't know, should we cover this, Brad? Because you know, right now
we've talked about this. Yeah, you
have a 12 penalty limit before the coach is suspended for the next game. Used to be 15.
And it's real easy to get.
So it's real easy to go to 12 penalties real fast when you have a couple coincidentals or a couple double minors. Before you know it, you're at 12 penalties and you're sitting the next game. A lot of times the referees at the higher levels will be like, two high school kids playing varsity kind of know what day of the week it is for the most part. Each one kind of could be getting a penalty, but they each got a little shot in. No harm, no foul. Maybe no call.
The other big thing is too is with that 12 penalties too. Like, so a lot of people have failed to realize, because a player used to have to get 5 penalties in order to get that game misconduct, right? Well, now with it being 12 penalties, if a player gets 4 penalties and gets that game misconduct, you're almost halfway there to 12. So, like, if one player's going totally crazy, like, and if you're sitting people for coincidental after coincidental, it doesn't stop very much. That's the one thing, because neither team is affected by it. So the big suggestion is to get whoever crossed the line more severe, or whoever, started that entire issue, you'd want to, get them in there. But then, that big thing is that 12 penalties. I agree with everything that Scott said. It's really difficult with that 12 penalties to take a lot of coincidentals in a row.
The other thing that
there's some ways around it. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the other thing that, they took away from us is they took away the standalone 5-minute major. And sometimes the standalone 5-minute major was a really valuable tool in a situation where you got a rough game and you want to calm things down, and you sit somebody on a 5-minute major, but now you got to give them a game misconduct with it. And now that's 2 penalties. And let's say the kid he had a coincidental tripping penalty earlier. Well, now he's at 3. I mean, like, you see how fast the suspensions come into play?
Yeah. No, the referees are looking out for us in the long run, right? Not getting to that 12 penalty box mark.
In a way, they really are. I mean, I think, you're trying to have a balance. You're trying to make sure that there's not like an injury potential penalty, because that needs to be called. Like, you need to make that call. But, kid gives a little whack on the shins after they've had a little exchange. Did it affect the game? Did it affect the play? Did it, did it change something that needed to not change or whatever? I mean, you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree with that.
And the other thing is, too, some referees don't realize that if you do have these escalating events, okay, and let's say you did take a set of coincidentals, okay, guy slashes the goalie, other guy pops him in the face, right? Okay.
Yeah.
They both got injury potential there. One is involving a goalkeeper, so that's, you're probably going to call that. And the retaliatory, you're going to call, okay, you bring them to the box. Well, then you have it happen again. Well, sticking them in the box for 2 minutes probably isn't going to do very much, but you could stick them in the box for 2 minutes and give them 10 for, continuing after the whistle. I mean, stuff like that you could do in order to try and curb those things. And a lot of referees sometimes don't think that way. Now, I'm not saying if you have 2 guys drop their gloves and square off, yeah, go ahead and call that 2 and 10 for roughing, but, or for whatever you want to call it, head contact. But I'm saying, a 10-minute misconduct in order to try and curb those coincidental minors that you're talking about could probably work for a lot of that. That would be my suggestion from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, no.
You heard it from the referee in chief, folks.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
It's official now.
Our district referee in chief watches a lot of these. So
yeah.
If I say anything wrong, I'm sure.
Right. You're gonna get a phone call.
Yeah.
Check your fax machine. You could be getting something right now.
Hey, I put it on airplane mode, so I could be getting all kinds of calls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so I think, a lot of coaches don't really understand that philosophy or where the referees are going in certain situations with that. And, this is a great thing for people to kind of understand, how and why they do operate the way they do sometimes. And you think, well, what, just take them both. It's okay. Take them both. But, you can get to that 12 penalty mark real quickly.
Yeah. I guess the next thing would just be, be consistent with it, right? If you're going to call one, then call the other, or just call one or just call nothing, right? But It's easy. I mean, I'm understanding. I'm empathetic. Being consistent can be hard sometimes, right? It's like, all right, there's a lot of emotion going on. You got people screaming in your ear. You're trying to do one thing, and you know, 100 decisions you're making in a minute. It's tough to be consistent sometimes and see everything. So, you know, I get that aspect of it too, for sure. I'm just thinking about, you know, it was our playoff game, game 3, right? Getting pretty gritty, and somebody runs into our goalie. The next thing we know, one of our players kind of gives a little cross check, and then, you know, a brawl kind of breaks loose, and one referee is just standing there blowing their whistle for, you know, for I guess a good 15 seconds. And then in that time, one of our kids and another kids, they got tangled up, their helmets came off, and, you know, we have a bunch of match penalties now, instead of kind of jumping in there and, you know, being proactive and making sure that doesn't happen. So I guess that's another thing of how do we get to that point where a lot of those things don't happen, opposed to kind of letting it all unfold in front of us, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, stuff does happen. I mean, I don't think I was on that game, so we could talk about it. I'm not going under the bus on this one, so it's safe. What's your thoughts, Brad? I mean, you know, what is the way to handle that situation?
So are we talking about the altercation? Is that what the question? On
Well,
how to
the escalation from
first?
something being, you know, a couple wrongs becoming crazy.
Well, the
And then
question
it
would be, was
escalates
it a
from
four-official
where you
system?
could have had 2 guys for probably a 2-minute penalty, and now you're in a situation where you're going to have match penalties because of it.
The only thing I would ask, was it a 4-official system or a 2-official system?
Yeah, it was 4.
Okay. So the 2 referees, they don't get involved, and the 2 lines, they do. So the most, I think what a lot of coaches would consider faux pas.
Oh boy,
Bad
he's
play, however you wanna put it.
disappearing. He's disappearing. Ask him a tough question. He's going away. All right. Dial back in, Brad. If you can hear me, dial back in. I'm disconnecting him. Yeah, he will answer that. I mean, that is a really important thing. So keep that thought, because he will definitely go back and answer that for us. But
Yeah, no, that's great.
yeah,
We
you know,
can go back to, sorry, bud.
well, do you like the 2-official system, or do you prefer a 4? Or do you like a 3? What do you guys like? What do you want to see on the ice all the time?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think 3 is a good amount. It's just not enough penalties get called, and, you know, the linesmen are trying to do their job. So I personally like the 4 official system. I think that's great. 2, I think is too little for a varsity game. I think there's a lot going on, so sometimes things get missed. Which, you know, with the referee shortage through playoffs, and it was really hard to find refs in state, etc. You know, it was understandable, but I think from here on forward, hopefully we could have 4 referees, you know, throughout there. What do you prefer, Scotty? What's a referee's
you know,
dream?
that's a great question. So, you know, if we ask this same question to Brad, I'm gonna speak for him. Can you speak now, Brad? But you know, I know he likes the 3-official system because he wants to be the one controlling the game, controlling all the penalties. He's not having to adapt to his partner. You know, if your partner sets a standard early in the game and you're like, that's not really my standard. You know, are we having 2 different games going on, one in one half of the building and one in the other half of the building? You got to be on the same page with your partner. So sometimes it's really nice when you work with somebody that you're really comfortable with, that you've done a lot of games and you kind of know each other's standard. And then maybe you get a partner that you haven't worked with, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is a different standard than what I'm used to. And maybe like more of the beatdown standard where it's like, got to put my hand up on that. Oh, you know. Or it may be like, really, you're going to call that? I mean, you know, you got to adjust, and everybody does have a different standard, and you're trying to balance that out. So in the 3-man, you don't have that. You know, you got one guy calling the penalties. On the other hand, you know, in the 2-man, both guys can call penalties, which is great, but it's a little tougher for them to be on the blue line with 2 guys, because you're really trying to keep all the players in front of you so you can see the whole game, because there's a lot going on. And you're going to give something up in that situation. And usually it's, you know, you're going to probably miss an offside at some point. you got 4 guys coming across the line and your angle's just not where you'd like to be because you're trying to be in position for that and still getting back or whatever the case may be. It's a little tougher. So, there's the good and bad with that. Would you agree, Brad?
Yeah, I know a lot of people would think I'm nuts, but actually in the referee spot in a 3-man, you skate not as hard as you do in the 2 official system, because the 2 official system, you are constantly going forward and backwards to get to that blue line. And you know what? If you're used to working 3 and 4s always, and just being a lines or the referee, it gets real difficult in that 2 official system because of that. But also, like Scott said, with the balancing of consistency and personalities, you're adding another personality into who's going to speak to the coaches. Because, during a game, the one referee is only going to talk to you in a 3 official system. The linesmen aren't going to talk to you. So you're only dealing with one personality. So, I don't know if anybody's ever had just somebody in the world. I've had it before when I've called, Comcast, like Scott's been doing and yelling. But, instantly when you get on the phone with that person, you just have this vibe. It's like the 2 of you are not getting along. And it has nothing to do with that person personally. It just how it is. And sometimes, coaches and referees have that too. And, I've had coaches in my career of 24 seasons that I know, for whatever the reason is, we don't get along. So I try to alleviate my situation, and I try not to click on their games. Every once in a while, if it's a necessity and we need somebody, I'll come out and work it, no problems. But it's not that I dislike that person either. That's what's even crazier. But when you add that extra personality in there, I don't always know what my partner's telling you, and he doesn't know what I'm saying, so we can accidentally contradict each other. So that's a real hard thing doing the 4 official system or even the 2 official system. So to me, this is a good referee learning moment, is don't talk about your partner's calls. Don't back the bus up over them after you've already ran them over on accident. So if somebody asks you about, hey, this happened earlier, blah, 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 but your partner already went over there and talked to him about it, just leave it at this. Hey, you know what? You already talked to my partner. I'm with him. See ya. And if you had something that is wrong, talk to them about it afterwards. Don't do it in the middle of the game. That's not going to work out.
It could also be the angle. Honestly, there are times when, I had a situation, Tim Peel, former NHL referee, and Jamal Mayers on the bench coaching, and I'm literally right next to his players, and he thinks his player is getting run from behind, and I'm next to him, and my hand's not going up because the kid dropped to his knees, and then I hear this, "Oh my God, you're not going to call that," from across the ice, and the kid popped up faster than they could even finish the sentence because he never got drilled. Nobody ever drilled him. The kid was just right there. He just happened to go to his knees and pop right up, and it's like, we're going to play on. But my angle was totally different from the angle that they were viewing something. So it may look really bad to them. And to me, I'm like, that wasn't even a check. There was no extension. There was nothing. The kid just literally went to his knees. Or, you have a player that, toe picks, catches an edge or something and you think, oh, it's a trip. Oh, it's a trip. No, he stepped on the player's stick or whatever. There's no intent. The guy's coming back nobody's even there. He tried to make a turn move or something like that and just buckled as he's making his turn. You do have stuff like that happen, and it's a different, vantage point from maybe the angle that the coach is seeing the game from. I love the coaches when they're at the, they're at the far side and, the goal line is they're back here. I got to get it in the camera. They're there. And, the goal line is down there. And, they're screaming "Oh, that's over the line. That's over." You can't see anything. You got 12 players between you and the bench. There is no way. You're lucky the referee can even see, and he's standing right on the goal line. And that's, so, I get you guys have to sell stuff to the referees sometimes, or you're trying to get an advantage where you can. I played hockey. I know. Come on, man. I worked the refs more than anybody. I was brutal on them. But that's how I ended up getting into this. My buddy convinced me I should referee. He goes, you say a lot about it, you should really go do it. But that's the truth. So,
one of the things that coaches, I'll explain this from a referee standpoint, that I don't think they even know because they don't experience it. And you never experience it until you've played hockey. There is stuff that happens when you're refereeing and you're looking directly at it, but it's too close to you. It sounds crazy, but it's like it's so on top of you and you're trying to react to get out of the way or whatever it is. And it's like after it happens, you're like, I'm pretty sure something happened. I didn't see it. And I've gone over to coaches. I'm 100% real with it. Thank God it doesn't happen a lot. To me. Now watch, now that I'm talking about this, next time I go out on the ice, it's going to happen. But
in a York game, by the way.
I've done it.
Yeah, for sure. 3 blind mice.
It just been like, hey, I'm going to tell you this straight up. I was looking directly at it. I don't have a thing because I didn't see it, and I know that sounds crazy. It sounds absolutely nuts, but I guarantee you pretty much every referee that has refereed for more than, a couple seasons has been in that situation, and they're like, it's too close. The best part is, my saving grace is when I have one of those happen and my partner recognizes that it happened and they put their arm up because it's like a godsend. It's like, I know it happened, and then they put their arm. It's like, oh, thank you.
It's usually when you're working the corner. That's usually when it's going to happen. Corner. When you're in that corner trying to move around and all of a sudden there's a big hit or something that comes in there and you're right on top when you're trying to turn and get out or whatever. Even like if you're in that corner and a puck deflects or something, and usually it's going over the glass, a lot of times you can't see it hit the netting because of the angle you're working and you're turning. And, the last thing you want to do really is to put your head up and, you're not trying to look up. Referees do not want to look up if they don't have to. You want to keep your eyes on the players. But, a lot of times you'll have a referee and it'll be like, well, that went out. And fortunately, most of the time your partner sees it and he blows the whistle. But there's times when you will not know 100% that the puck went out. It's just one of those things. It's a tough call sometimes. It seems like an easy call, but it's not.
Yeah, they have it in the NHL rulebook. If it goes out of play and it's unnoticed by the officials, now they can review it. But it wasn't before. Before that, it was a good goal. They're like, it went out of play. They didn't see it.
Yep.
Too bad, so sad. I mean, so, and they're using the dark netting. And then think about it. You're looking into a crowd of people with all the colors. And, I love Geneva's ice rink. I know they have the blue paint.
I was just going to say Seven Bridges, they got that dark paint around the dasher, so you can't see the puck going around. Then you got the gray walls in the back. The puck goes up in the air. Now you can't see the puck there either. Same thing at Bensonville at John Street. It's better. They put some new lighting in there, so it's way better than it used to be. But, there are challenges for refs. I worked a game yesterday. You ready for this? They played blue on blue. Chargers and Bulldogs, both in blue. And now, Chargers all have the same
random
dark blue. But here's the worst part. 4 of the players on the Bulldogs had dark blue jerseys and the rest had lighter blue jerseys. So the colors are contrasting of each, and you're trying to, honestly, that was a challenge. Please don't do that to us. I had Loyola and GBN, and Loyola had the burgundy on, the dark, and GBN had the dark green on. And they're the same color at the end of the day, basically. So we got through it on the JV game, but the varsity made them reverse the jersey, and so we can actually see what's going on. It was bad. I mean, coaches don't think about it, but it's really challenging on linesmen and referees in that situation. And when you got 20 different color socks going out there, it's a lot tougher than, during, league play and everybody looks the same, and then you got the goalie that's got a different color jersey on. They're blue. So now you what team is he playing for? You don't even know after the second period. So it's just one of those things.
Going back to what you said, Scotty, talking about or maybe it was Brad too, about coaches kind of giving it to you a little bit. How do you guys feel about that? I'm thinking about my game on Saturday when one of the coaches on my bench were kind of fired up a little bit, and it was nothing against the ref. It was like I was talking about, very well ref game, but trying to get the boys fired up a little bit. It was kind of dead on the bench. It's at the end of the game, which is great. You shake hands and say good game. And go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. Go
ahead.
No, I think at the end of the day, shake hands.
This isn't working well. I think it's because I'm on the phone. I think mine's delayed. All right.
All right, Matt, speak your piece, please.
At the end of the day, it's always appreciative. I forgot what the ref's name was, but we kind of got into it one game. He was kind of a shorter, red-haired guy who lives out in Texas, maybe. We saw him out there. We also see him back here. Really great ref. But, apologized afterwards, crossed the line a little bit. And he was like, don't ever apologize. You didn't cross the line. You're competitive. You were in the moment and, kind of respected that. We kind of respected each other for that, but that's not the same case with every referee. So, how do you know when the line's getting crossed and when should a coach kind of back off before we get a bench minor? Because you guys
usually when he gets
right?
the bench minor, then you cross the line.
So, the number one thing I would tell all coaches is you can yell about the game with most referees. You could kind of critique their calls to an extent, as long as you're not belittling it. But the big thing is the second you go personal, the second you make it something personal, they're going to bench you. I'll tell you, I did a great report this one time, and I had a coach. He was very adamant. He called up and complained about the referees. So I did the investigation. So at the end of it, here, I'll tell you what happened in the game. So in the first period, their bench gets benched for swearing. Well, I wasn't swearing at my player. I wasn't swearing at them. I was swearing at my players, All right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. No problems. Later in the game, they get benched, and he gets thrown out. And the referee threw him straight out. That's what he tells me. I'm like, that seems odd. You didn't do anything? He's like, well, I did deserve the bench because I swore at him, and, but then he threw me out. And I'm like, he just threw you out after he benched you earlier in the game, and then he benched you again and threw you out? I'm like, something's not adding up. So I get the referee on the phone. And it turns out, he'd benched him for swearing at him at the beginning of the game. Benched him again for swearing at him again, which at least he admitted to that one. So it turns out that the coach, after the referee benched him, went, and here's the letter T brought to you by Sesame Street, and made the T symbol at him. And that's what he threw him out for. So that's definitely crossed the line. And he knew it afterwards. But, it's the second you make it personal, and I'll tell this to all the coaches too, some of them don't know this, almost I would say 50% of the referees come over and say hi, tell you their first name. They're not telling you your first name so you can scream and yell their name at them the rest of the game. It's a courtesy. It's something that, when we do get together and have a conversation, hopefully I remember your name and you remember mine and we can talk. Yeah. But, that could be another thing, too. I'd rather have you yell ref or zebra or something at me than my first name, because at least it's not being personalized at that point.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it becomes a big issue, once it becomes personal. And I know, some guys will be like, hey, Brad, that's not what we're talking about here. It's when you're yelling, Brad, you're effing awful, or Brad, that's where you've gone personal. You've now taken personal information that I offered you, and then you've used it against me.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's probably not going to be a good day. I've only had this in the last, maybe 2 seasons. There's coaches that I've never even worked before. I didn't even know them, but they won't talk to you before the game. They won't shake your hand. They won't do it. They won't interact with you. They won't sign the score sheet. And it's and then the minute the game starts, they're on you. Like white on rice, okay? I mean, they are on you with your name and everything else. And it's you didn't even have the courtesy to shake my hand when I tried to introduce myself to you. You wouldn't give me the time of day. You went over and picked up pucks. You played in the trash can and picked up used chewing gum from the bench area. But you wouldn't come over and talk to me. And you kind of know what you're going to be in for at that point. It's probably going to be a rough afternoon for a while.
For any coaches that happen to get Scott, this drives him insane, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he's He's called me on the phone after a game and been like, "You got to hear about this." Like, and coaches talk about referees, and the referees talk about the coaches. Like, so when things happen, it gets around in our community. It's a very small community, and then what's even more nice about our community is, I've been around so long, I know so many coaches, so they bring me stuff. So like, there's even more learning development that we can do as referees. So any coach, I'll always say this: like, if any coach has a video, Matt, you know this because you've done it.
Yeah.
Send it
more
to
than
me.
once.
I would love it because you know what? Yeah, and you know what? I'll give you my honest opinion. I wasn't there. I'll give it to you. And you know what? There's a lot of referees in the community that are very seasoned that'll do that for you as well. If you happen to know somebody and it's irking you, hey, why did this happen? You probably ask somebody if you know them well enough.
Yeah.
And then for me, I personally like it because then I take it and I use it in our seminars and our development. So the more homegrown stuff that we can get, I think it works better with the referees because I can say, look, this is York and so-and-so, and they pay attention more because it is two Chicago teams. It's not Team Blue and Team Yellow at, the development camp with nobody there. So,
yeah, you kind of know.
I can't believe we hit an hour already, Scott.
Matt was worried about 15 minutes. He's like, 15 minutes, You sound like Tim Peel, I'll give you 15 minutes. After that, I'm out of here. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But yeah, it's fun.
Tim was great.
Tim was awesome. He stayed on
again.
for he's a very nice guy, and he contributed so much to the show. We really appreciated him and love to have him back again. And he said he's happy to do it. I mean, I saw him, like a month ago at one of the tournaments, so he had a good time. So that's awesome. What else you want to talk to the refs about? I'm sure you got some questions. Anything else before we go? You put anybody else under the bus before we head out of here?
No, I just, appreciate all the refs and all they do, and I appreciate you guys kind of providing this platform to kind of let everybody know what's going on, and the younger referees out there to try and mentor them through technology, which has been incredible. So I don't really have a whole lot for you guys besides, give York a few calls here and there. And
Teddy says that was my game.
I knew it was Ted. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, he's talking about the.
Oh, and Jafrida says,
he's talking
always
about
interesting working York games. Hey, I had a great York game. I got to tell you, I had the JV game when the first time you played GBN last season. Yeah. And it went overtime and 8 rounds in a shootout. By the way, I got to the Loyola Gold game I was supposed to work with Viator for the second period. So poor Jeff Pacoccia had to work the first period 3-man in that game until I got there because it made me so late. But it was a heck of a game, man. I mean, that was a really good, tilt.
Yeah. High school hockey's on another level right now, for sure.
See, Brad must be on Boost Mobile. Okay. We're going to get in trouble.
Hey, we're about to be on dead mobile phone because I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. How have you guys been able to adapt to the new standard of checking? What do you think about that, Matt?
Yeah, it's been tough. Again, it's a consistency thing. I think that USA Hockey kind of comes out with these rules every year to try and make the game a little bit safer for everybody. But I haven't really seen much of a change the past 3 to 5 years, to be honest with you. At the point, a few times it's like guy shoots the puck and finishes the hit, and some guys will call it, some guys won't call it. I personally have not seen it called a whole lot tighter. At the beginning of the year, everybody's trying to set the tone, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think a lot of refs might think that it's just a high school varsity game, and hits are going to be coming here and there, and it is what it is.
High school hockey's tough, Matt. High school hockey's tough hockey, man. That's way tougher than the NHL, isn't it? Yeah.
No, man.
They don't hit in the NHL. They got contracts they want to collect on.
No, yeah, but the game's been adapted a lot more to speed and skill, and then less of a dump and chase and more of a possession through the neutral zone. So I think that kind of takes away from a lot of corner battles and those potential kind of injuries and kind of questionable hits. So I think the game's kind of adapted as it is to a not so physical game. I'd like to see the kids get a little more, intense, right? And aggressive is sometimes a good thing for sure, but not a whole lot of adaptations for the new checking rule for sure, in my opinion.
That's a great point because, I never really thought about the dump and chase being a more dangerous game to play where you've got tougher corner battles, because the game has become so much puck control. I heard one of the AAA coaches maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, one of the tournaments, he didn't even know the team he had. Like, he didn't know the players, didn't know their names. But he's like, I got a couple rules. I just overheard this, and he's like, I got a couple. One is you don't ever give the puck away under any circumstance. Like, that's the number one rule. Like, I don't care what happens. Do not give that puck away. Do not throw that puck away. Do not dump that puck.
Which has been, honestly, Scott, it's been so cool to see in practice in small area games and kind of just, you don't want to ridicule a kid for trying a new move out in practice or, what are you doing? Move the puck. Which you want him to move the puck for sure, but you also got to make sure that kid can get out of tight spaces with pressure on him, right? So how's his puck protection looking? What kind of moves is he working on at home? Like, make the game creative, which is, I know, is a huge movement in today's game right now, right? Is how creative can the kids get? And their brain's only going to grow and get smarter and kind of find new ways to adapt and get out of tight areas. So definitely a lot of 2-on-3s and the team of 2s trying to score and a team of 3 and 3s on defense, just trying to support the puck and really get pucks to the net and crash and really focus on that center net drive for sure, which, then, late whistle, kill, crash the goalie, and then we got 2 match penalties for sure. So it'll be good.
Well, here's a question for you. We've had the rule change last year where you're not affected by it because you're playing high school hockey. So the rules are the same where you can still ice the puck on the penalty kill and you have delayed offsides. What's your thoughts with you've had a lot of the AAA players and AA players come into your organization for summer. Do they struggle with that at first or do they like it? What do they prefer playing and what do you prefer?
Yeah, I think maybe it's just what I'm used to, right? But I definitely enjoy the delayed offsides and kind of being able to ice the puck on the PK. I mean, it generates more offense, right? We're not being able to ice the puck, and I think that's also a cool rule too. I don't think one's right or wrong, but I really enjoy the current high school rules and what they used to be. When we do 200 by 85 tournaments or kind of go on some tournaments outside of the area, definitely a learning curve for us here and there, but the kids pick up pretty quickly, right? Anything in life, nobody likes change, but it's how you meet change and kind of adapt to it and move on that's going to make you better. So if I had a choice, I definitely wouldn't change it for high school hockey for sure. And I think the kids enjoy the way that it is right now. Even the AAA players that come over tend to enjoy it a little bit more for sure.
And think about it, $600 an hour for that ice. So every time you go offside, it's probably $10. Cost your team $10 because you didn't have the delayed offside. Seriously,
a 90-minute ice life turns into a hour.
Some of them, like, it's not so bad. Like the AAA kids, they know how to move the puck. They know what to do. You don't get a ton of offsides, but you get to a house league game and they think it's development. And it's like, we got like 20 offsides and we got 20 icings, and next thing you know, that game that was supposed to be 13-minute periods has just taken an hour and 35 minutes to play. So.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm sure you guys have seen it where the rinks don't really care anymore. They just open up those ZAM doors and the game's over. Like I've seen that happen a few times, probably 3 years ago before COVID, where ice rinks are tight for ice time. They're too far behind, and they just open the door and say, "Sorry, game's over. You guys didn't pay for enough ice." And people were using, hour slots as game slots, and rinks were sticking.
I've had some teams over the spring. They're like, "We got an hour 5 slot. Okay, what do you want to play? 3 15s."
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Some rinks are just better at, or, they don't have something going, even though they had an hour 5 ice slot, whatever the case may be. But it does happen. Let's take a look at a couple of the comments here. Personally, I prefer the 3 official system. I find that in the 4, there's the adjusting to a partner standard that can throw me off my game. And the 2-man is just an unideal for any high-level game. Okay. I don't know who that is. Brad, do you know who that is? He's winking his eyes.
I know that they're about to see you two.
I had a situation during shuffle where a coach constantly kept belittling myself and my partner and wouldn't keep control of his players even after we had thrown out 3 of his players. Ended up probably tossing him after he made multiple after he made multiple fat jokes along with his players. That's kind of interesting.
Hey,
that could be
okay.
that could be a match penalty. That could be a match penalty, right?
You can't insult
somebody
me
offended
with
by that. I mean, right? Referee in chief.
Hey, that's not match penalty. That's not.
Could that be?
Could
that? Okay, all right. Just trying to stir the pot a little bit.
I got a good story.
Give it a little
for
quick
you,
spin. Yeah.
I got a good story for you. So I was refereeing a game a couple years in Thanksgiving, 3-man, by the way, and there's a play that happens, and a guy knocks a guy down. They didn't mean to hit each other; it just happened. And the kid on the ground turns to the linesman and goes, "Are you gonna call something, you fat fucker?" and
he
whatever,
did.
Blah, blah,
Boom
on the ice. and afterwards, the liney comes to me and he tells me what happened. I'm like, "You want me to put him in the box?" He's like, "Yeah." So I put him in the box. Well, for 10 minutes now, his coach is clearly upset, which I knew he was going to be upset. But I'm supporting my partner here. If it's crossing his line, then I'm going to support him in most cases. So, the coach jumps off the bench and he's yelling, and I go wheeling over there and he's like, "What do you do?" And I told him what happened. And he goes, "What? So we can't call you guys a fat fuck?" I go, No, you can call me a fat fucker all day long. I don't care. He's sensitive. And he started laughing, and my partner's across the ice, and he's cracking up and whatever, and I skate over there and he turns to me and he goes, like, "How did you do that?" I go, "Oh, don't worry about it. I called myself a fat fuck. It's okay." Like, pardon my French, but it's just one of those things. Sometimes the coach is upset. I understand you're upset. Sometimes a little levity goes a long way. I don't know if Matt, I've never seen you upset, so I don't think, but I joke around a lot like throughout the game, because I don't know about you guys, I love my job, but being able to get out on the ice and skate and be part of the game that I still love, I'd rather do that every day of the week for the rest of my life than work just a 5-day job anywhere else. Now that sounds crazy, but I still love the sport. I love the banter. Does it have a constant mental onslaught sometimes when you're refereeing? Yes. But is it okay afterwards? Yes. But I'm a strange person though too, so.
We all, we get through it. There are games where, I think it was your game the other day, as a matter of fact. I had an Olympic referee working with me. He goes, "Are you having fun yet at this game?" He goes, "Because it's been a challenge, It was just a tough game,
Was that the Lake Forest game or what?
No, that was the against was it the Admirals or whatever? It was a bunch of AAA players.
The AAA team. Yeah.
But I got to give you guys credit. That was on the books, that would have been like a pretty good team. Probably thinking going to get a runner. It got so physical, it was such a beatdown. They weren't going in the corner anytime soon to go get that puck. I mean, they were paying the price the whole game. And it caught up with them. I mean, that was a 1-goal game. That finished a 1-goal game. And to be honest with you, you weren't there.
Yeah.
The first 4 goals of that game, there were 2 bad goals against your team to start. I'm like, oh, there's no way this goalie recovers from this. I mean, those were brutal. Brutal. I'm sorry. Not picking on anybody. They were brutal. Then what happens? You guys scored 2 even more brutal goals. And it was like, this game is 2-2. Like, how is this game even competitive after what we started with? And now we end up basically with a 1-goal game. I mean, it ended up 3-2 game, and it was a great game all the way through. Just a physical beatdown. We lost Brad again. His battery probably ran out.
Those boys are fired up though, right? Because they see that AAA talent out there, and a lot of them kind of are like, I could play AAA. I could beat these guys. And kind of got the target on their back a little bit and went out there and fought hard. It's kind of what we've been trying to instill in our culture is it doesn't matter who's on the other side of that, on the other side of that line, but you gotta give us all you got and kind of keep the motor going. So it was sounds like it was a great game, and I wish I could have been there for it, but it was
a really, really good, hard fought game. I mean, that game, could have turned at any point there. It really became a great hockey game. But like if you had seen the start of it, you probably saw the video. Did you see a couple of goals from that game?
Oh yeah. I know there was a dump in.
They weren't pretty, were they? The first couple,
no.
like, how do you know, like as a goalie, I was a goalie. You don't recover from those that easily. Like that gets in your head, and it gets a little tougher out there. And sometimes when you think you're playing against, maybe a team that might be on paper considered to be a little stronger, with the offensive power than you are. But it came around. It was a great game. Your players played their heart out. I know that, and it was a tough, well fought game. So.
Yeah, no, thanks. Appreciate that.
Kudos to your guys for that. I mean, you do have a tough team. I will tell you, your guys are tough as nails out there, and they don't back down from anybody, which is, I know anybody that's going to play you. Yeah, I know anybody that plays you knows they're going to pay the price if they go out there and play. So, that's great. I mean, that is definitely something that carries over. So good for you.
Thanks,
so
Scott.
I'm guessing, Brad's limited time has expired. He's not dialing back in.
Time and a half.
Yeah, exactly. So let me just say, on behalf of Brad and myself, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate your time today, and we'll look forward to seeing you out on the ice. And you guys have a great season and all that good stuff. We didn't really get to talk about Addison. We were going to go there, but Brad's not here, so it'd be very one-sided if I'm the only one chiming in on that. But yeah, there are a couple challenges for the referees over there, just so you know. So
yeah, no, that's we're going to work on that and expect some nice beverages and
well, a bucket of soap and water would go a long way in the area I'm referring to.
Oh yeah.
Like the next time you have one of those, one of your players that you're mad at, and you want to come up with a good punishment, you send them back there with a bucket of soap and water, make them go to work for an hour.
Oh yeah, give them a toothbrush and be good to go.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. Anyway,
well, thanks, man.
Yeah,
congrats
good luck.
To Brad again.
Do you guys have a golf outing coming up for your school? Do you do a charity event, or is it a fundraiser for your team?
No, it's great. Yeah, last year was our first annual golf outing, and we had 135 or something like that, almost 140 golfers.
That's awesome.
Which was great for our first one. Tons of vendors were there. White Pines did a great job accommodating all of us. Yeah. We'd love to see some referees out there, and I'll grab some foursomes for the referee golf outing for sure.
Please do, join us and we'd love an invite to your event, man. We'd love to come out there and participate and hang out with you guys and, yuck it up a little bit.
Oh yeah. Have a blast, man. That sounds great for sure.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. It's the Ref Room on behalf of Brad Baumruck, who dropped off because I think his battery probably died. We've got Matt, Coach Bo from York High School, always with a lot of fun and competitive teams. So thanks for doing that. If you guys want to support the channel, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/refroom, and you can buy Brad and I a coffee anytime you want, a little caffeine. And that's about it. We will see you back here next Monday. We had some other stuff we wanted to cover we didn't even have a chance to get to. So, again, Matt, thanks for joining us. And we will see. Is that Brad trying to come back in? Maybe. Anyway, we're not taking him back in. He's out. We threw him out, man. He's been ejected. He has been ejected. Yeah. So, yeah. So, we'll see you guys next Monday, 5:30 p.m. right here on the Ref Room. Take care, everybody. Peace out.